Class is dismissed, boys and girls.
You're in. Let's go!
Previously on the YTV Retrospective.
Check this out. Everybody. Check it out.
About a year ago, we took a look at one of the most well-known horror anthologies for kids here in Canada. That was Are You Afraid of the Dark? But to talk about Are You Afraid of the Dark is like taking a look at two sides of one coin. We have already talked about one side, now it's time to take a look at the other half. The other Canadian horror anthology series for kids. Both of which had similarities, even down to the point where they both shared the same hour as one another. Despite premiering the show much later than Are You Afraid of the Dark, its source material definitely caught on faster than expected. The idea was such a quick seller that it didn't need a pilot to show. Broadcasters wanted this idea so much. In 1992, writer R.L. Stine created a line of horror books targeted towards children. Of course, looking at one of these books would give you a sense of fear with just the cover alone. I mean, look at these covers! They were terrifying among kids! These books would become a surprising hit, with 235 currently being published by Scholastic. And it wouldn't take long to be adapted into a television series. This series is none other than Goosebumps. Each episode was a sometimes loose adaptation of the books they are based on. For example, the first episode, the hour-long episode, The Haunted Mask, was about a girl looking for a mask to use on Halloween, but the one she found begins to take on a life of its own every time she wears it. This episode also had opening narration done by R.L. Stine himself. In My Hairiest Adventure, a teen starts to grow hair in weird places on his body after using a bottle of expired Instatan. I would make a puberty joke here, but I don't need to. The jokes actually write themselves.
Can a guy get some privacy?
With the main character turning into a dog. Night of the Living W2 gave us the mascot of the franchise, the ventriloquist dummy Slappy, voiced by Cal Dodd, also known as Wolverine from X-Men.
From now on, this family belongs to me. You're mine, Amy. You're mine.
As he terrorizes his latest owner. What happened to the first one? Turns out it was one of many books that didn't make it past the outline stage for the series. Funny enough, many people thought the voice of Slappy was his puppet performer, Ron Stefanowick, but it wasn't the case. People keep saying I was the voice of Slappy. I was not the voice. I was just the puppeteer. I actually had the voice of Slappy call me and leave me a rather snooty message blaming me for being credited as the performer of Slappy. I said to him, I'm the performer of Slappy. We designed him. We built him. All three shows that we puppeteered him, I was the one lying underneath him, walking him and providing the guide track for the voice, even though the person that did the voice and the guide track weren't all that considerably different. They did dub the voice. Monster Blood has a novelty toy eating everyone in its path, getting bigger in the process. And Trilogy, a 3-part tale involving a trio of kids and a haunted toy town called Carlsville. The thing about the Goosebumps series was that despite being a show that was played for scares, more often than not, it was played for laughs. Between the one-liners and the overall delivery on lines here and there. It was a show that was more self-aware of the situation. A good example of this would be My Hairiest Adventure.
Ah! My skin! Look! My skin! Paper towel! Psych!
Although what sets the tone apart from each of the episodes is more or less the endings. When the kids get their comeuppance at the end, that's the episode. It doesn't come back to a group of kids gathering around a campfire, or a happy ending. Roll the credits and that's it. These were more or less cautionary tales for lovers of Scream. Wait. The promos for these series are a prime example of these conflicting tones. Let's look at a promo from YTV.
It will shiver and creep its way into your life, scaring you, surprising you. It will never be quite what you expected. Suddenly, the familiar things will become the fantastic, but you'll recognize it. In fact, you probably know it already. You'll discover you've been living with it without even thinking about it, because it's the phenomenon of the decade. Goosebumps, Saturdays at 7:30 and 8 on YTV.
See? A show that's meant to terrify you and make you hide behind the couch. Now how about this promo for the show's first VHS release?
Is your school lunch making you sick? Is your little brother or sister driving you absolutely crazy? Gotcha! Then we've got just the thing for you. The Haunted Mask, the first video based on the best-selling Goosebumps books by R.L. Stine. Cool, huh? The Haunted Mask is all the fun and creepiness of a great Goosebumps story come to life. But it's too weird for words! And best of all, you can watch it over and over, anytime you want. Okay. The Haunted Mask, the first Goosebumps video ever from Fox Video.
Yeah, it shows that everything is okay. A fun time for all ages. Huh? Now, why does Goosebumps have two completely different tones when it comes to how it tells its story? Well, the answer is simple. It needed to be different from Are You Afraid of the Dark? In an interview with many of the staff who worked on the show, this is what writer Ron Oliver and producer Steve Levitan had to say. I was doing Are You Afraid of the Dark in Montreal, and Fox called me and asked me if I wanted to do Goosebumps. I flew to Toronto and met with the executive producer Deborah Forte from Scholastic. We were trying to define the difference between Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps. There was a specific tonal difference. Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark were in the same genre, but Goosebumps always had an ironic, humorous, tongue-in-cheek self-consciousness that Are You Afraid of the Dark didn't have. I'm glad we went in that direction because I don't think there would have been enough room for two completely similar shows. There were a lot of familiar actors in this series as well, such as Amos Crawley, Erica Luttrell, Daniel DeSanto, Stuart Stone, and Renessa Blitz, aka Arnold, Keisha, Carlos, Ralphie, and Janet from the Magic School Bus. Hey, another classic series. Future Star Wars ruiner Hayden Christensen, Don Franks, the late great Adam West,
What's your name?
Skipper.
Weird name for a superhero.
Harvey Atkin, sports commentator Don Cherry, and oh hi, Ryan Gosling! While we did talk about how Ron Oliver helped write and produce several episodes of both Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark, there were several others that were shared between the two. One of which was director David Winning, who directed 10 episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and the Goosebumps episode, It Came From Beneath the Sink. One thing I will give major credit for is the show's use of special effects, and the team behind it were really creative in creating the masks for the monsters, and even the mechanical work for many characters including Slappy. The series premiered on YTV in 1995 and was involved in the production of the series. It also premiered somewhere across the border on another station that needed another hit around this time. Specifically, the Saturday morning block, Fox Kids. With most of the Warner Brothers shows like Animaniacs and Batman moving over to Kids WB, Fox needed something new to fill in the gaps. Sure enough, they had a few shows that can justify it, including this series. The two aside from Goosebumps that were introduced were Life with Louie and Masked Rider. From October 27th, 1995 to November 16th, 1998, Goosebumps lasted for 4 seasons with 74 episodes, with the 4th and final season being dubbed Ultimate Goosebumps. But that wasn't the end of Goosebumps, or R.L. Stine. Oh no! Not only did the books take off, but skyrocketed in popularity. Now, what about his other works? In 2007, a direct-to-video series was made based on another anthology series Stine made, called The Haunting Hour, Don't Think About It, which was soon followed by a TV series from 2010 to 2014. 2015 saw the release of the feature film that returned to his most well-known franchise in Goosebumps, starring Jack Black as the author himself, which was followed by a sequel in 2018, Haunted Halloween. In 2021, a trilogy of films based on his Fear Street series was released on Netflix, and in the same year, another streaming service would get the R.L. Stine treatment with the 8-part series Just Beyond on Disney+. Lots of love for R.L. Stine in 2021. Goosebumps, despite being behind a few years to Are You Afraid of the Dark, had a huge following, not only being a promotional tool for the books, but also for action figures, board games, and eventually movies and even more merchandise.
Alright,
Merchandising! Merchandising! Where the real money from the movie is made.
It was a decent adaptation of the books that provided viewers a warning similar to the covers of the book.
Viewer beware. You're in for a scare.
As I said earlier, both of these shows were two sides of the same coin, providing scares to the children of North America. So which show did you prefer? When we come back, it is the holiday season once again, as we take a look at one of YTV's most iconic Christmas specials. And this time, our leads are a trio of brothers.
Next time on the YTV Retrospective.
Check this out. Everybody. Check it out.
Hello, Mr. Stine.
Hello, Mr. Black.